May I now request Mr. Ashish Kumar Chauhan to please give the address.
Shri Pramod Thakkar, Srimati Dina Mehta, Jitendra Shanghvi, friends, ladies and gentlemen, it's a pleasure and honor to be in front of you. I've been told to speak on the careers in finance, and I'll take you through some of the interesting aspects of career in finance, and also I'll also tell you why I am so hopeful about India over the next 30-40 years, which is what is going to be your career span. If you recall, last year before the election, and if you were listening to television, if you were reading up newspapers, magazines, you would have figured several issues were there with India. We were looking very bad. One of the biggest issues which India has faced since time immemorial, at least for last 300-400 years, is poverty. We live in abject poverty, although many of you come from good families, good area, good college education and so on and so forth, but large portion of India lives in abject poverty. How do we bring up our population to a reasonable standard of living? Second issue is the population. We are the second largest nation in the world, but more interestingly, we occupy 2% of world's land mass. Only 2% of the world land mass is occupied by India, and 17% of world population we represent. Effectively, our density of population is very, very high. And many of them are not literate, many of them are not having the exposure of getting into the newer way of life. The third problem which we were facing over the last 5-6 years was huge inflation, whether it was commodities, of services, any type of sort of prices, they were rising. And that was creating amount of disgruntlement in the population. Fourth is, of course, corruption. And corruption is not new to India. We have been talking about black money and so on and so forth, but corruption has been part and parcel of everything which we have done over the last 5,000 years, 10,000 years, and 200 years also. Robert Clive also, when he came to win India, he became corrupt, and there were allegations of corruption against him in British Parliament. So effectively, people who come here also become corrupted, and we were basically a hugely corrupt society forever. Now suddenly we have woken up, and that needs to be removed from public life, and of course from private life. And it's not a corruption only of money. When you peddle influence, it's still corruption. Many times it looks as if people who take only money are corrupt, and people who get scholarships for their grandson for America or wherever using industrialists, they are not corrupt. All types of corruption is prevalent in India, and if India has to come up, it has to deal with corruption once and for all. And it's a huge issue. Black money is part of that, and we must ensure as people who have some vested interest in the future of this country to ensure that we solve it in a more, what I call, civil, non-violent way. And hopefully this government will be able to do that. Other issue we were facing was fiscal deficit. We were running very high fiscal deficit, a lot of subsidies. Most of the subsidies were getting actually used up in other purposes. Revenue deficit was high. The government was getting less money. It was spending more money. And so that itself was an issue, which it still is. Indirect tax evasion and direct tax evasion, bad money, lots of bad laws. Over last 67 years, we generated many laws, but even before that, there were many laws in British Raj we just sort of inherited. And today, the laws or the legal system is such that if you do something, you are violating some law, and if you don't do the same thing, you are violating some other law. Effectively, we have too many contradictory laws, and we need to make it sort of rationalized, make it easy for living life, not only for doing business. Red tape is very interesting. Prime Minister keeps on saying the red carpet and not red tape. But that is, again, we have inherited the British system. But imagine if it was not there, we would have inherited something else. So effectively, we need to also deal with red tape in its own sort of interesting way. But automation helps in that too. The interest rates were very high, which they still are. The infrastructure has been pathetic. If you go anywhere in the world, You have huge, if you compare our infrastructure with the rest of the world, and even Mumbai's infrastructure with Delhi, you will still start crying that in 25 years, in Mumbai itself, we have not added too much infrastructure while the population has increased a lot. And the labor laws, that we have labor laws. In fact, just now it's very topical because today also I got so many messages on Facebook and Twitter stuff on stopping the issues in TCS, that some people are getting retrenched, and that is a huge issue. And so for me, labor laws, what happened is we thought by giving too much power to labor, we are helping them. We ended up hurting them. Because now, after having stringent labor laws, they are so stringent that if a labor doesn't come to the factory, it's fine. You can't do anything with them. But the factory will have to continue to pay him the wages and so on and so forth. We created a situation where the industrialists are not willing to hire. Over the last 67 years, we have created labor laws, and because of that, we have created a royalty in organized labor, which is less than 1 or 2% of India's total labor. The other 97% people are working in unorganized areas because organized people don't want to hire them. They can't hire, they can't fire. Since they can't fire, they can't hire. They will not hire, right? So effectively, the labor laws is also one of our biggest issues, and we need to be worried that are we really getting into the right labor laws. Fortunately, some action has happened in Rajasthan and so on and so forth. But I was just trying to list down the issues which were there last year. 1 year has passed, new government is there, new prime minister is there is huge amount of hope. And what has been solved in last 6-7 months of the new government? One is inflation has been solved. Inflation has come down suddenly. Many people tell me that it's not the government who has done it, but government is lucky. The prime minister is lucky that the oil prices have come down and gold prices have come down and everything. And I say, boss, at least you have a lucky prime minister, right? If you have a very smart prime minister but who is unlucky, what will happen? So effectively, it's good to have a lucky prime minister. Probably India is lucky. But inflation has been solved in some ways. Oil prices have come down. We have not done much, but they have come down. Food prices have come down, not only in India, but internationally. That's bringing down the prices. And all commodities, that is not only food commodities, agricultural commodities, but copper, steel, cement, why they have come down? In last 20 years, the only sort of acceleration of usage in all these commodities was coming from China. China was industrializing itself. China was building infrastructure at a pace which was unbelievable. China used, it seems, concrete in last 5 years that US had not used in last 100 years. And US also industrialized and put in huge amount of infrastructure over last 100 years and then rebuilt it and so on and so forth. But China used that kind of steel, cement, nickel, cadmium and everything, and of course the food and so on and so forth, that it ended up increasing the prices of everything over last 20 years in a secular way. There was a huge, what we call, some of you who are the students of economics, the terms of trade changed in favor of commodities after 200 years. And suddenly, now China is slowing down. Why it's slowing down? Because China is becoming old. Because of their one-child policy, they suddenly are becoming old. In 2017 will be the first year over last 100 years that China will have less number of people coming to the job market than they were previous year. So in 2016, if they had X number of people coming into the job market, in 2017, they will have less than X. And that is putting a huge pressure on the wages there. China's tricks of trade, the only USP was their young labor and less inflation in the wages of labor. And of course, very flexible labor laws. If we are able to create flexible labor laws, reduce red tape, our youth, our demographics is such that we are going to add 1.5 crore youngsters into the job market every year for next 20 years. 15 million new jobs need to be created. 30 crore new jobs over next 20 years. It's a huge sum. Because we are sitting in large country, we keep on hearing this crores and crores every day. We think it's easy to do. But 1.5 crore is more than half the population of entire continent called Australia. 1.5 crore is also more than the number of people that are unemployed in the entire USA. if you are watching television, especially business television, sometimes when unemployment rate comes down or comes up, prices of stocks move up and down, right? Economies are doing well or not well by unemployment rate. And total unemployment in US is 1.31 crore. It is coming down. And we have 1.5 crore new jobs to be created every year for next 20 years. It's a humongous task, but it's not that we have not done it before. And it's not that from now onwards we have this 1.5 crore coming into job market. Last 20 years also we have added close to 1.2 crore new jobs every year. It's not something new to India, but effectively we need to create these jobs. And many of you have come here to understand why finance job is very much important and why finance job will take you where you want to go, that is have a good, reasonable life, a life of dignity, a life which is rich in content, a life which is rich in achievement. And for me, that's why skills are very, very important. We need to impart skills in our youth. But problem about skills, when I was born and I was told, we were totally taken saying you study for 25 years or 20 years and then you work on that skill which you acquired for next 40 years or 50 years. So you study and then you don't change. But today, world is changing every day. When I was studying, people used to tell me that the only constant is change. And I couldn't even fathom, I couldn't even figure out what people meant actually. For very long, even after doing job, I didn't even figure out what did they mean, right? The change is only constant. And why it is affecting me, that I need to be doing something about change. And then there used to be a lot of books about who moved my cheese and so on and so forth. Very small books you might like to read. But effectively, change has been phenomenal over the last 30 years since I came into the job market. Change has been phenomenal. Last 30 years I've seen changes which have not been seen in last 10,000 years. The information technology and so on and so forth were not seen in last 10,000 years. They have changed life fundamentally. But still, we learned something and we could work almost our entire career, all four of us sitting on this side of the platform. We could learn up to age 25 and sort of work on that skill broadly over the next 30, 40 years of our lives. It will not happen to you. Because what has happened in the last 30 years was only a trailer. Next 30 years are going to change life even more transformationally. Every 5 years, newer technologies will come, newer ways of thinking will come, newer ways of getting together will come. And you need to not only study today, you need to not only worry about your career today, but every day. You need to learn every day. I'll just give you perspective on what are the new technologies that are coming up so that whenever you get a chance, read up, try to be part of it, because the huge amount of wealth that is going to be created in future is going to be in the newer business. IT was single technology which changed India fundamentally over the last 30 years. Next 30 years, there are at least 10 technologies that are coming which will be larger than information technology, and you have a chance to participate because you are young, you can learn things. I cannot learn newer things. You can learn newer things and you'll have to continue to learn newer things. In my estimate, over next 20 years, 70% jobs will be created which I have not, or you have not, or nobody has thought about today. Those jobs, like when I studied, I used to study basically engineering and computers. And we even 20 years back couldn't imagine, or 30 years back couldn't imagine that a person sitting here will be teaching somebody else Western classical music in Russia. Today, it's reality. People are paying Indian classical music teachers money. And so for me, technology has been a fundamental change, and next 10 years, or next 30 years, it's going to change very rapidly. You need to be ready to change your track, learn newer things, go into newer businesses. And also, if you don't do that, you will remain where you are. Life will pass you by. You have a choice to be lazy, but the future is about running on the treadmill. To stay at the same place, you'll have to run very hard. So if you want to actually move forward, you'll have to run very, very, very fast, right? So one of the technologies is called 3D printing. If you've heard of 3D printing, it's going to change life fundamentally in terms of manufacturing. You will be able to print things at home. Not printing of what we currently read, but you will be able to print television, you will be able to print guns, you will be able to print houses, you will be able to print chairs, and so on and so forth. Robotics. is going to be another fundamental change. When I was studying, computers were in a place and 30 years they took off. Robotics is today in the same place computers were 30 years back. They're going to change life fundamentally. You'll have to, even if you're commerce students, if you're art students, be aware of them, try to experiment, try to get involved. Biotechnology. And the biggest changes in life is going to be about biotechnologies. You will have newer humans, newer lives, synthetic life, everything coming up. Big data is going to be another stuff, which is going to change life fundamentally. Nanotechnology is going to change quite a lot. Body part manufacturing. You will be able to manufacture eyes, ears, and heart, and so on and so forth. You will have a lot of computers inside your body. Over the next 20, 30 years, you will have so many tiny computers moving around your body. Just now you are talking about wearable computers, Google Glass and all. But on a 20-year scale, 30-year scale, you will have a different life. Be aware of that. Artificial intelligence is going to change, again, life quite a lot. Genetically modified agriculture, whether we like it or not. Gujarat, in last 10 years, has had agricultural production increasing by 10% per year. You know that? India's agricultural production has increased probably 2% per year, but Gujarat did that 10% per annum for last 10 years. How did that happen? I am a Gujarati, I come from that region, and I was under the impression it happened because of Narmada project. When I was speaking on such a conference, one of the agriculture scientists or agriculture economists told me that partially you are correct, that Narmada was great, but biggest reason is that genetically modified cotton was introduced in Gujarat, and in last 10 years, it has gone up by 850%. The production of cotton in Gujarat has gone up 8.5 times. And that is the power of the newer technology. Of course, space technology, India is leading. And that is going to change life again quite a lot, even when you are not in the space. But so basically for me, why I want you to be aware is there are many things coming. It's very exciting. It looks very, very promising for India specifically because India's population is young. It can learn newer things. And the biggest wealth that is going to happen is not in the past. It is in the future. And only youth can learn, youth can produce. All of us old people can only enjoy what you produce. So what is the government doing to debottleneck India? Because as I said, we had several issues. We had this great promising life that is coming up. And what all we needed to do. So of course, some of the problems have been resolved, inflation and so on and so forth. Interest rates will be resolved probably. But the taxation, India is totally disconnected in its own way. It's connected many ways, but it's also disconnected in the taxation part. You have sales tax, which is each and every state puts in, then you have excise, and you have various other taxes. It's being combined into a new tax called GST, goods and services tax. Then you have, so I've been told 2-3 minutes. So let me come back to the issue of the career in finance. Let me give you my own example, and also the example of where you are sitting. This place used to be trading ring till 1995. And people who had skills to trade in floor were totally opposed to the new technology coming in. They were worried that what will happen to me. And they opposed, and Dina Mehta was one of the pioneers of running of this exchange. She participated in automating this exchange. And today, we have converted into a convention hall. So the functions need to be performed. The trading had to be done. But today, you do it on mobile, you do it on internet and so on and so forth. I joined as a banker. And in my bank, they were trying to automate the banking system of that bank. And we all went down and started shouting slogans against the automation because we thought our jobs will go away. And today, every bank is automated. Why I'm telling you this is, don't resist. Stock market is an interesting framework. Finance is even more larger framework. If you remain in finance, you are going to learn a lot. You will be, on a scale of 20 years, you will be one of the smartest person around. If you are not in finance, if you are a gold medalist in your own stream, when I was an engineer, I came into finance, and every day you learn a lot. If you are a gold medalist in your school, in your college, but if you are not in finance on a 20-year scale, when you meet after that 20 year, you will realize how important it is. Also, finance gives you an ability to earn your money and help others, save as well as earn returns on their capital. And that's a noble cause. It's important that BSE Institute is also here. I can see some boards there. BSE Institute offers many courses in variety of areas, from 2 years MBA style program to capital markets, certification, depository certification, insurance, mutual fund distribution, and so on and so forth. You can select many of them. You can also collect many of these certificates and become intermediaries, become your own business owner. Yourself, you can become brokers and so on and so forth. But it's a very, very exciting framework. India will require around 60 to 70 lakh people in finance. Today, we are into around 1/10 of that. This is a huge demand, and all of you are most welcome to come into this business. We would be delighted to have you. The changes will happen. Some of the functions which intermediaries perform today may not be performed, may not be required to be performed by humans later on. But if you are smart, you will be able to write that. You will be able to make even more money with that. Thank you very much for